Guys, buckle up, because what's happening between the United States and Iran right now isn't just another flare-up in the Middle East. It's a full-blown war that kicked off on February 28, 2026, and it's already reshaping the global order in ways most people haven't even begun to grasp. President Donald Trump launched this campaign with Israel at his side, and in just over a month, we've seen strikes that killed Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei, crippled Tehran's nuclear sites, and shut down the Strait of Hormuz, the artery that pumps 20% of the world's oil. Oil prices have skyrocketed, global shipping is in chaos, and Trump is now dangling a 15-point ceasefire plan while Iran fires back with its own demands for reparations and control of the waters. This isn't surface-level drama. This could change everything. Today, we're diving deep. Why did Trump pull the trigger? What are the real costs in blood, treasure, and hardware? And most critically, how is China playing this? And could this war actually hand Beijing the keys to overtaking America as the world's top power? Stick with me because the answers might surprise you. Let's start with the context because you need to understand how we got here fast. Tensions had been simmering for years. Trump's first term saw the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, maximum pressure sanctions, and the collapse of the old nuclear deal. Fast forward to 2025. Trump returns to the White House, sets a 60-day deadline for Iran to cave on enrichment and proxies. And when talks stall, he and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu greenlight Operation Epic Fury. Surprise airstrikes hit everything: nuclear facilities, IRGC command centers, missile factories, even regime leadership. Khamenei is dead. Dozens of top clerics and generals gone. Iran retaliates hard, missiles rain on U.S. bases, Gulf oil infrastructure, and Israeli cities. The Strait of Hormuz, effectively closed by Iranian mines, speedboats, and anti-ship missiles. Global energy markets panic. U.S. troop levels in the region balloon to over 50,000, with more Marines and paratroopers pouring in. Trump calls it winning and obliterating the threat, but Iran's new hardline leadership under Mojtaba Khamenei vows to fight on. This war isn't just about nukes anymore, it's about regime survival, regional dominance, and who controls the flow of oil. And it matters to every single one of you watching because your gas prices, your grocery bills, and even your 401k are feeling the shockwaves already. Now, let's get into the deep analysis. Trump's decisions, the reasons behind them, and the fallout that's still unfolding. Why did he start this? Trump has framed it crystal clear. Prevent Iran from crossing the nuclear threshold, dismantle its missile program, and crush its support for proxies like Hezbollah and the Houthis that have terrorized allies for years. Remember his campaign rhetoric? No more endless wars, but we will win the ones we fight. He saw Iran's uranium stockpile growing, enrichment at near-weapons grade, and a regime that had survived every previous round of sanctions and limited strikes. The February strikes were his way of saying enough. Use overwhelming air power, bunker busters, and precision munitions to decapitate the regime without a full ground invasion, at least not yet. He's alternated between tough talk, threatening energy plant strikes, and pauses for productive talks. Just last week, he extended a 10-day halt on hitting Iran's power grid and desalination plants after Tehran requested it. And that 15-point plan? This maximalist. Dismantle the nuclear program, hand over enriched uranium, limit missiles, cut off proxies, guarantee free navigation in the strait, and more. Trump says Iran has already given on most points in back-channel talks via Pakistan. But Iran calls it unreasonable and counters with 5 demands of its own. Reparations, sovereignty over Hormuz, no more attacks on the axis of resistance. What's really going on here? Critics say Trump's flip-flops, threaten, pause, claim victory, have eroded U.S. credibility, echoing past red-line failures. But from the inside, it's classic Trump. Maximum leverage through chaos. He's betting that economic pain from closed shipping lanes and destroyed Iranian infrastructure will force Tehran to fold faster than any prolonged occupation. Who benefits? Short-term, American oil producers and Gulf allies like Saudi Arabia who see a weakened Iran. Long-term, it's murkier. The U.S. has achieved air superiority, destroyed much of Iran's navy and missile production, and killed key leaders. But at what price? Let's talk hard numbers on costs, because this war is bleeding the Pentagon dry in ways that will echo for years. According to Pentagon briefings to Congress, the first 6 days alone cost $11.3 billion, with $5.6 billion just in munitions. By day 12, we're looking at $16.5 billion and climbing. Roughly $500 million a day now that cheaper short-range weapons are in play. Total supplemental funding requests could hit $200 billion. That's not pocket change. It's crowding out domestic priorities and forcing allies to potentially foot part of the bill, just like Kuwait did in 1991. Weapon losses? Massive. The U.S. has fired thousands of Tomahawks, JASSMs, and air defense interceptors. Munition stocks are depleting fast, especially the high-end stuff needed for a potential China scenario in the Pacific. Iran's cheap drones and missiles have forced expensive counters, and reports show U.S. inventories for certain precision-guided munitions dropping to levels that worry planners for any multi-front fight. Soldier losses? Lower than you might fear in an air-dominant campaign, but still real. Central Command has confirmed a handful of U.S. deaths. 3 in early strikes, more from Iranian missile barrages on bases with dozens injured. No mass ground invasion yet, so we're not talking thousands like Iraq. But Iranian claims of hundreds dead are propaganda. Independent estimates put total U.S. Kia under 20 so far, with the risk spiking if Trump greenlights boots on the ground.
Iran es los?
Devastating, thousands dead, including civilians caught in urban strikes. This asymmetry is Trump's point. Low U.S. risk, high Iranian pain. But every American casualty is a political landmine back home. And then there's the economic ripple. Oil at record highs, inflation fears, and supply chains snarling from Hormuz. Trump says he doesn't care if gas prices rise. If they rise, they rise. But American families and truckers are already hurting. This war is costing the U.S. more than just dollars. It's draining focus and resources at the exact moment when the real long-game competitor is watching from the sidelines. What do you think about this? Is Trump's gamble worth the blood and treasure to neutralize Iran once and for all? Or is it a distraction that plays right into someone else's hands? Drop your take in the comments right now. I read every single one, and the best ones might even get a shout-out in the next video. If this continues, and right now it shows no sign of stopping soon, one possible scenario is a quick ceasefire by April if Iran blinks on the 15-point demands. Trump wins it down, declares mission accomplished, and pivots to China talks. But here's the darker path. Iran holds the Strait hostage, proxies escalate in Lebanon and Yemen, and the U.S. gets sucked into a months-long quagmire. Ground troops? Trump hasn't ruled it out, with 50,000 already in theater and more coming. That could balloon costs to hundreds of billions and casualties into the hundreds. Or Iran's hardliners double down, race for a nuclear breakout in hidden sites, and we face a forever low-level conflict. There is more behind this than it seems, especially when you zoom out to China. Beijing is officially neutral, but make no mistake, they're the biggest wild card. Iran was China's third-largest oil supplier, and while the war disrupts that, China had stockpiled 1.4 billion barrels of crude beforehand. They're weathering the storm better than most. Importing Russian pipeline gas, buying discounted Iranian oil in yuan where possible, and even getting special passage for their tankers through Hormuz. Short-term pain? Yes, higher energy costs, inflation risks, and pressure on their slowing economy. But long-term? This is a gift. The U.S. is distracted, munitions depleted, and alliances strained. Trump's war has pulled American eyes and assets away from the Indo-Pacific exactly when Taiwan tensions are high. China's Navy and hypersonics are getting a free pass while Washington burns cash in the desert. Analysts in Beijing are already calculating how this weakens America's deterrence. If the war drags on, U.S. focus fractures, European allies grumble about energy costs, and America's America First looks more like America alone. Could China surpass the U.S. this way? Not overnight, but yes, this accelerates it. Beijing's Belt and Road investments in Iran are on hold, sure, but the strategic vacuum left behind? China fills it with economic diplomacy, scoops up influence in a post-war Middle East, and watches the dollar's petrodollar dominance wobble as oil trades shift to yuan. Most people only see the surface explosions in Tehran. But the real winner might be the dragon that stays quiet while the eagle fights. This could change everything, folks. Prolonged U.S. entanglement hands China the breathing room to dominate supply chains, tech, and global South alliances. Trump's team knows it. They're already pressing Beijing to help reopen Hormuz. But Xi Jinping isn't rushing in. He's playing the long game, letting America bleed resources while positioning China as the stable alternative. If Trump pulls off a clean victory and pivots fast, the U.S. might emerge stronger, with a humbled Iran and renewed Gulf alliances. But if it drags, the costs in lives, dollars, and global standing could tip the scales toward a multipolar world where China isn't just catching up. It's leading. Look, I'm not here to cheerlead any side. Trump's decisive action stopped a nuclear Iran in its tracks. That's a win for global security. But the price tag, the distraction from China, and the risk of escalation demand real scrutiny. This war proves once again that great power competition doesn't pause for regional fights. America has to win here without losing the bigger contest in Asia. If you're enjoying this kind of no-holds-barred analysis that connects the dots between Tehran, Washington, and Beijing, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We're covering this war daily, plus what it means for your wallet and America's future. Drop a comment. Should the U.S. stay the course or cut a deal now? And if you want a deep dive on China's next moves, let me know. Thanks for watching. Stay informed. Stay ahead. I'll see you in the next one.